destinations are growing in popularity among students. Okay, so especially for students who are thinking of a more research intensive academics. Okay, so before we start this session, okay, so I wanted to introduce you three people. Okay, so one, it's going to be myself. Okay, so I'm going to be the host for today. Okay, so my name is Raghuveer Krishna, and I hold a MBA, and I've been having around 18 plus years of experience, and half of my work life I've spent here in the study abroad sector. Okay, so helping students like you with your master's, PhD, as well as MBA admission process. And next important person I'm going to introduce you is Galvanize Global Education. Okay, so I've been a part of this system for more than 9 years now. And what really made me choose this company as my career path, okay, is the management. Okay, so this company has been founded by alumni from Stanford, IIT, and IIM. Okay, and it gave me a lot of opportunity to try a lot of new things, and I've been working through for more than 9 years in the same company. And what I've been hearing from my students, okay, so what really makes Galvanize different is, okay, so it is not just a study abroad consultancy company, it is more of an edutech company. Okay, so technology plays a very important role. So right from inception, okay, we have been completely online, and the entire admission process, whether it comes to building a student's profile or helping them with their competitive tests like GRE, SAT, or their TOEFL exams, or the entire admission process. So we have developed an in-house student portal through which the entire process is going to be driven. And what makes Galvanize really stand out from other people is the way we are able to understand students' requirement, and we are able to personalize solutions for them. Okay, so that really stands out at Galvanize, and that's the kind of a feedback that I've heard from my students. And as I told you in the beginning, okay, so right from inception, we have been completely online. Okay, so we don't have students just in India. Okay, so we have students across the globe. In more than 65 countries, we have our students in. Okay, and I can proudly say, okay, so I've been, me and my team, we have been working very closely with students, and we have been helping them into secure some very good admits, and we have listed some of the top universities where we were able to work along with our students and help them get accepted into. And as I told you, okay, so about what students really feel about Galvanize, okay, so rather than me just saying, okay, so you can just log into any of these forums, okay, so to check what people talk about Galvanize, okay, so in Quora or Google reviews or any other social platform. And now, okay, so before we begin the session, okay, so let me introduce you today's speaker to you. So Mrs. Shanthi Mohan, okay, so good evening, ma'am. So thank you so much. Okay, so it's really a pleasure to meet you again in another webinar session with you. Okay, so students, talking about Shanthi Mohan, okay, so she has got around 20 years of work experience, and she's been working in the IT industry, so both here in India as well as outside India. And she's very passionate about helping students in their academic journey. Okay, and she has been a part of the Education USA, okay, for over 12 years, okay, working very closely with students like you. So once again, ma'am, thank you so much for being a part of this session. Okay, so now it's all to you. Okay, you can take it over from here.
Yep. Thank you so much, Raghuveer. Good evening, all those who have joined us today. As Raghuveer rightly mentioned, in spite of the long weekend, we do see people trickling in. So I hope you will have a good takeaway from this session. Okay, just allow me to share my screen. Is it full screen? Yeah. Fine. So I think
Yes,
I have a
ma'am.
big job to do. I'm going to start the session with a poll, right? So basically, we want to try and understand what excites you about studying in Japan and Taiwan. Research opportunities, better career opportunities. Yeah. Great. I think, yeah, we have answers from few. Okay, so the poll says that academic and research opportunities and better career opportunities. Yep, definitely. And other biggest thing about studying in these two countries is the affordability. See, independence and life experience, I think the moment you step out of your comfort zone, right? That's when you're going to really experience independence and the life, handling it all by yourself. Maybe some of you are already doing it, but doing it in your own country and doing it in a foreign country is entirely different because there is a lot of cultural sensitivity that you need to develop if in case you're preparing to leave the country and go to any one of these destinations. So before we begin the session for today, the two cents or the two words that I really know in Japanese and Taiwan, I will say that and welcome you all. So konnichiwa, I'm sure most of you would have heard it. This is how are you in Japan, and ni hao is how are you in Taiwan. So this Taiwanese is basically originated from the Mandarin Chinese, but all of them have, different dialects and everything, depending on which province you go and study, etc. I think eventually, if you have the flair for language, my first recommendation to everyone is you must learn the language of the country. So it always helps you. So what we're trying to see is the session agenda. We're going to explore why Japan and Taiwan, why not other countries, and what are the various types of scholarships and funding opportunities are there for international students like you. How is the education, I would say the climate. Apart from the political climate, now we also need to see which stream is more popular, which helps you to get a better employability opportunity, or which helps you to get into a hardcore research, so on and so forth. So when it comes to all these, one primary concern that all students have is about cost of education, right? The very reason that a lot of these South Asian countries are becoming popular primarily because the cost of education is pretty low, but at the same time, they're also able to give quality education to international students. And let's also get some insight into how a student life would be, what is the post-study option, is there a possibility to stay in the country, so on and so forth. So looking at the ships generally, the first one is both Japan and Taiwan offer you world-class research and industry-focused education. So that's the primary reason why a lot of people are shifting towards. In fact, the poll also said that. Nobody talked about affordability of education, but everyone is more geared to go to these countries for the research and the industry-focused opportunities. Second, obviously, is the affordable study and scholarships that are instituted both by the universities as well as the independent bodies and the government of these respective countries also have scholarship for international students like you. And another reason is in a place like Japan or Taiwan, the younger community is very less. And I think I'm sure all of you are following the several data points that have been discussed in the recent times. Why India is being in the limelight? Primarily because India is the largest country which hosts the younger population. So most of the countries are looking at India primarily for the skill set. And even to utilize all the resources that they have, they do need Indian international students coming to their campuses. So this is more of a bigger picture for you. The shifts are happening mainly because students are now trying to look at a lot of value destinations. That is value for money and also affordability. Career focus, because some of these countries are typically aligned with the Indian student interest, and there is also a high return on investment. So these three are the reasons now students are exploring many of these newer destinations. So when it comes to Japan and Taiwan, technology and innovation is the primary reason why students even think about it. I'm sure most of you already know, maybe you are already a computer science student or IT sector person working in an IT sector, or you fintech industry. That typically you will hear most of you leaning towards to these two countries because that's what they are very good at. And their affordable tuition compared to Western countries. Sometimes people also, think in terms of taking a bit of a risk. So when the affordability levels are easier to pay for the education and stuff, people might think, why not? I mean, let me give it a try. And definitely, both the countries require high international talent because they have very less younger population. And it's a very friendly countries. There is no need to worry about some of the geopolitical issues that we are currently handling, which are also impacting some of the top choice destinations for students. And the other thing is Japan is the fourth largest economy in the world. So obviously students would be more interested in giving it a try. And the global semiconductor hub, all of us know everything comes from Taiwan. So why not try Taiwan as well if you are in any of these sectors? So now let's focus first on Japan and then we move to Taiwan. So Japan is it's a home to many of the top universities. So in QS ranking, if you see, many of the Japan universities come within 250 rankings. So that's something like, speaks for the quality of education that they provide and the opportunities they lay out for the international students. And as we already discussed, the declining younger generation is also another reason why Japan is inviting a lot of international students to their institutions. Recently, if you had seen, when I say recently, it happened last year, there is a delegation from India under the aegis of our Prime Minister who went to Japan to build the relationship, and education was one of their key discussion points, right? And on that note, they've also set up offices in India, which where the students can even approach them to find out about studying in Japan. Looking at the fields of study, though it's commonly engineering, there is a high amount of robotics and AI, as we know. And also, there is a good amount of business and more specifically, entrepreneurship and let's say there is a set of course that's dealing with family business and stuff. And of course, Japan is a place for many of the global companies. And we don't have to name them. All of them are quite popular in nature. But one thing you need to be very clear is that those students who are considering programs that are related to robotics and AI, please believe it's going to be super competitive compared to some other, I would say, some other disciplines of engineering, like what we call as core engineering, say electrical, electronics, mechanical, civil engineering, or what we call as the built environment study. Those are all quite popular in Japan because they need more people in those industries as well. So always understand the climate in the country and accordingly choose the program that you want to study. So it's a small country, we all know. And the moment we all talk about Japan, what comes to our mind is earthquakes, tsunami, and of course, volcanoes, right? So yes, obviously, I mean, it is one land which sustained everything, and people now know how to live with all these. So this shouldn't really disrupt your aspiration to pursue your higher education in Japan. So there are primarily four big islands, which comprises the Japan as a country. And we all know it's a land of rising sun, and that's why the Japanese flag also has that red sun. Right? So Hokkaido, Honshu is the most popular island, which is actually the most longest and probably in terms of area is also one of the biggest island in the group of islands. So that is an economic hub, not only an economic hub, that's where you also get to see Mount Fuji. You know what is Mount Fuji? That's one of the live volcanoes that are there in the world right now. So Tokyo, Osaka, Kyoto, all these cities are located in Honshu. And the Kaishu, which is like at the extreme end of the map, is known for specifically volcanoes, and it also holds several of those forests and everything. And Shikoku is another smallest, which is basically from the tail, known for its natural beauty. So typically, all students would be moving towards Honshu, which is the primary hub for education and everything. So the Japan is divided into 47 regions, which what we call as states, they call them prefectures. And you all know that Japan also has a royal family living there. But of course, all the decisions, everything is made only by the politically formed government. But many of the decisions, sometimes they announce in the name of the in a royal king. Okay. So we already spoke about all the prominent cities and everything. Now let's move about how the education system is there in Japan. See, one thing good about all the Asian countries is we all have a lot of commonalities in the way our education system is created. Generally, what we call as the rote memory learning, which is so common in our Indian system, is also being followed in Japan. And many of the new math systems that we learn is also quite popular. In fact, most of them, the systems like Abacus or I think there is one more method, Kumon and all that. They all have a higher presence in the Asian countries. And the system is so common. People are competitive and they all want to get good grades and everything. But alongside that, Japanese have always given a lot of importance to learning, discipline, and timeliness. And they are definitely known for it. I don't think I have to say about the way the Japanese system works. Most of you know. The precision is the key for their success. And in fact, probably they are even okay to work like 20 hours a day and all that. Yes, when they were rebuilding Japan. And now the things are changing because of the old population. They need more people to compensate for it. Okay. So coming back to the system, yes, everybody go through a 12-year high school system and then they move to universities or do a 2-year program at junior colleges and then join the university to complete a undergrad degree. There are graduate schools which are part of the universities. Some are very specifically dealing only with technology, like our engineering colleges. Then there are specialized training colleges which are given a lot of importance to teaching a particular subject, more like what we call as education training institutions. Then Japanese language institutes, they are also quite popular because there are a lot of students from several countries come to Japan only to study in these language institutes because they want to learn it in the land. Of course, probably in the earlier times, a lot of people went to UK for short English programs from India. A lot of people went to US for English programs in India. So it's something very similar to that because we want to learn it from the land. There are a lot of short-term study programs, which could be like skill-based or management-based. Even those sort of things are offered by the Japanese universities. These are primarily industries that are popular, like automobile, electronics, and depending on the industry, the programs are also offered in line to meet the industry requirement. Okay. So you all, the best way to always shortlist universities in any country, I would first say, is you need to set what you want to become, look at the industry that you want to be in, and how this industry alignment is offered in terms of programs by the university. So that's the best way to map yourself and get to the right fit institution. So talking about the body that accredits all the Japanese education and everything, it's called MEXT. Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports, Science and Technology of Japan. So the MEXT is the authority which gives, or which gives accreditation to the institutions. It oversees all the policies that are related to the fields specified. It was established in 2001. So currently, it's one of the most active accreditation body in Japan. Beyond that, they also offer what we call as MEXT scholarship for international students who want to come and study in Japan. So I'm just putting out a few examples for you. So like any country, Japan also has public and private universities. These are all some of the popular public universities. Coming to public universities, most of them are high rank. And also for them, when they recruit students from India, what used to be the actual, way of picking up students was institution in India, right? So if you see, there are many students who make it easy to some of these top Japanese universities, especially from institutions like IIT, and then NITs or some of these, institutions of importance. But of late, what we are seeing is they are very open to taking students from different institutions in India, irrespective of whether they are public, private, etc. The student profile ultimately speaks for how they can get admitted. And secondly, they're also seeing the commitment from the student. Typically, all the master's program in Japan is more research oriented. So connecting with respective faculty or guide is the first step that you should do. And when you're actually applying, when you're going to mention the professor with whom you're connected, that carries a lot of weightage in your application. And I think it all goes case-to-case basis. I mean, it might be dependent on the department that you are applying, the program that you are applying. But believe me, most of the programs are absolutely research-oriented. So you need to play your cards very well here. And a lot of importance is given to your academics. So it's a very strong research and academic that's going to help students get good admissions. I'm not saying that you won't get admission if you don't have research, but somewhere you should be able to give a research idea on which you would be working when you get admitted to a master's program. PhD, it's obvious, unless and until you have a clear focus on what kind of a research you want to perform and what is the outcome that you are looking for, getting admission into some of these institutions are going to be extremely tough. Also, another thing we should understand is Japan is a small country. Obviously, the number of students every university can absorb during every admission cycle is going to be limited, right? So it's not like 1,000 students from India apply, 800 get admission. That's not going to happen. We should be keeping in mind that the acceptance rates are anywhere between 20% to 40%. So they are definitely competitive institutions. And these are some of the top class private universities which existed for a long time. And some of them, they belong to what we call as the Jesuit type of institution, predominantly faith institutions based. So now let's look at application process. Very simple. Whether it is Japan, Taiwan, US, UK, any country, you have to start the process 18 to 24 months early, because you need to understand the universities, you need to understand the program, you need to understand what is expected of you as a student. So you need some time to build your profile and everything. Next comes language requirements. As much as 80% of the program in masters is taught in Japanese in many of the universities. Still, taught in English in many of the universities. Still, knowing Japanese language is an added advantage for you. So there is something called JLPT. I'm sure most of you would have heard about it. Japanese Language Proficiency Test, and it has 5 levels, N1 to N5. So the N1 is the supreme knowledge, or I would say the most proficient person will get the N1 level, and N5 is the most basic. So when you're going as a student, if you have an N5 or N4, getting placements outside of the campus or getting internship opportunities, all that becomes comparatively easier if you have that knowledge. But if you already have N3, like you are well positioned because you're in a bridging situation between Japanese proficiency and Japanese novice stage. Okay, so taking up Japanese language before applying to a university always helps. But again, even after going there, you can definitely go for these JLPT classes. So some of the universities offer this as a additional curriculum for students coming from other countries. However, in some cases, you may have to take this as a course and pay that extra credit charges, etc. So always look into whether your program is taught in Japanese or English. Obviously, most of us are going to pick the program which is taught in English and then have that Japanese knowledge. Coming to what sort of documents you require, just common again. They also need all your transcripts, recommendation letters, statement of purpose, and of course, test scores. GRE, it's good to take. Sometimes if you are not applying for a graduate program, if you're applying for an undergraduate program, there are certain exams that you may end up taking, which is called, EJU. That is exams for Japanese universities. This is a common entrance exam people can take, and then the scores are valid for 2 years. But besides this, there can be very specific tests or interviews that might be conducted by the respective universities for students who are going for their master's program. So thoroughly read through the university website and the applicant requirements so that you need to prepare, give yourself time for all these things. And then it is always advisable to connect with a faculty advisor, because most of the time in Japan, what sells the best is how good you know the professor and how well the professor knows. So when your application actually comes with the reference to that particular professor, it carries, as I said in the beginning, an extra weightage. Coming to the application cycle, so they have 2 different cycles, which is like not directly aligning with our Indian system, because their first cycle starts in April. The second admission cycle starts in September. However, most of the Indian students prefer second intake, but I'm also seeing people take that gap year and use it for some research experience and connecting with the Japanese university, and then apply for the next year's first cycle, which is April intake. So the call is absolutely students, and you have to decide how well are you prepared to apply for that particular program. And typically with all this, when you get an, so the visa process begins only after you get an admission from a Japanese university. So the admission is not just a letter alone. So you have to get something called confirmation of enrollment. That is COE, we call it. If some of you are familiar with US, so you need a document called I-20 to go through your visa process. So the COE is important for you to go through the visa process. So the visa can be processed through our local Japanese consulate or embassy, whichever is closer to you. And if you submit all your COE document and along with other documents that they are expecting, your visa will be processed soon. 95% of the time, there is no interview for students. However, if there are questions, if there are some questions arising after they go through your application package, they might call you for an interview, which might be a very, very rare case. So now let's look at the cost of education. So this could be typically surprising. Okay, I have to give you some disclaimers here. So we have referred to different websites, and we have also taken it from the official Study in Japan website to compile it like this and show it to you. So some of the national, there is a different cost for undergraduate education. There is a different cost for graduate education, and private universities cost you differently. National universities cost you differently. Not only that, their location is also one important factor. Sometimes, if you look at the cost of living could be as equivalent as to your national university tuition fee. Okay. So the location always decides, I would say, the cost of education apart from the institution being private or public. So looking at a total budget, if it is national universities, it would cost you somewhere around 14 lakh per year, or private universities can go as high as 22 lakhs per year. And this again can be brought down through some of the scholarships offered by the universities themselves or by the common scholarship, which we will be seeing now. So spending a 14 lakh or a 22 lakh as against spending 50 lakhs per year or 1 crore for 2 years, I think this is comparatively, I would say, a cheaper option for students. Not only that, you're also going to get a good quality education for that same lesser amount. So the most popular scholarship is the MEXT scholarship. Yeah, it is super competitive, but I mean, if you plan well, I think you can definitely grab the MEXT scholarship. You must watch the video of Indian students who have got the MEXT scholarship. You just Google MEXT scholarship and it will take you to the official website of MEXT, and there they have listed when should you apply for an undergrad MEXT scholarship, when should you apply for a graduate, when should you apply for a research intern, or there are different categories of scholarship available and you can take a look at them. And if you get it, full tuition is waived. You get a up and down airfare is also covered. And they also provide an additional Japanese language training free of cost. In addition to that, a monthly stipend, which can completely take care of your living expenses, is also offered at that. Okay. So when they give you so much, we should really work hard to get them. The next is JASSO scholarship. The JASSO scholarship is awarded by a Japanese Association for overseas students, and they only give a stipend, but they can't take care of your tuition fee or travel expenses, etc. So the monthly stipend of 28,000 INR for close to 1 year they may award. But again, you should see if you're going to live in a place like Tokyo, the expenses could be way too high. And probably you got to supplement this by taking up, off-campus work, etc. And finally, the university-specific scholarship. This can be, again, full or partial tuition waiver. Or there may be something like a director scholarship, president scholarship, or departmental scholarship. You can apply for those things as well after you get admission so that you can bring down the cost of education further. And this LOTUS is a scholarship program primarily created to, I would say, to encourage the research exchanges between India and Japan. This is an exclusive India-based scholarship awarded by the Japanese government. So this is for building global research. So this is available for students who are applying for research-based programs. And this is also available for students who are already enrolled for their master's program in India, but they can go and do a 1 year of research in Japan. But this is also very competitive, and they want you to match yourself with the kind of advanced projects that are being conducted in respective Japanese university, and you need to absolutely align. Your interest must align with the existing research that they are doing, and you have to bid for that research. So this is I would say this is more advantageous for students who are thinking of a PhD or already enrolled for a PhD and want to get that experience in Japan. They can consider this scholarship. It's primarily for young researchers in India. So the other, this Joint Japan World Bank Scholarship is for anybody, it's for people from US, Europe, Africa, Oceania, and Japan. But at the same time, there are 44 participating universities which are from different countries. This is not a scholarship just for studying in Japan. This is a scholarship to study in different parts of the world. But though it's fully funded, again, this is going to be a super competitive experience. This is not a tech scholarship. This is primarily awarded in the fields of public policy, developmental economics, infrastructure, and governance. But how can you relate yourself is the most important, is the key here. So you might be a student studying IT or having a lot of interest towards cybersecurity and data security. So these two fields can have a lot of alignments with e-governance. These two fields can have a lot of alignment with public policy, because many of the public policy has a lot of digital implications. So if you are somebody who want to connect society in this, you will be an ideal person to these scholarships. Okay, so now let's look at which sectors where students will find a lot of opportunities. Of course, IT, robotics, civil engineering, automotive industry, hospitality, and tourism. What does Japan offer? Okay, one thing I want to tell all students here is, you're going to a foreign country. Primarily, yes, you want to get a good education, and you also want to have a good lifestyle, and you want to improve your earning potential, right? But always go with the mind and have a plan to come back after so many years, because if you go with that sort of a mindset, you won't feel the hit due to a lot of changes that happen, governance changes that happen in the country. I know why I'm putting it. This is specific to US, I'm saying. But in Japan, you are allowed to take up off-campus work, but you need to get your endorsement from the university to take up such opportunities. And a maximum of 28 hours per week you can work, because you also need time to study. But after graduation, you are eligible to take up a full-time work, which they call it as sort of a work permit. That it's actually has a very a difficult name basically, but I can say it's a work resident status, which says that you have to be able to work in any of the three things that are specified here: technical, humanities, and international services. So when you're in your second year, you should start the process for applying for jobs. And by the time you are in the last semester of your master's program, you should be get a job offer or multiple job offers, so that with that you will be able to file for this resident status. And then after you graduate, they change your visa status from student visa to this resident status. So through the resident status program, you can stay up to 3 years to 5 years. I think it's always better to check what the government says at that point of time, and accordingly you can plan your stay there. When you are able to stay in Japan for more than 3 years or 5 years, I think they are also allowing you to go through a permanent residency. However, I'm not discussing the permanent residency part here, because I'm stopping myself with the resident status from student to work after your graduation. Okay, I think now that we have completely covered Japan,
I think it is time for you to have a breather, ma'am.
I know. I think I'm super excited about Japan.
Yes. Okay. So, students. Okay. So we have started a new poll now. Okay.
Yeah.
So what really matters for you guys? Okay. So, in your study experience. Okay. So whether it is going to be cutting edge technology and innovation, or whether it's the balanced student life and affordability. Or is it career growth and job opportunities more important? Okay. And surprisingly, okay, I don't find many people responding for career growth and job opportunities. That is,
No, it is coming up.
it is coming up. Yeah. But
Yeah, when you
that would
talk
really be a
about
very good
ROI,
sign, ma'am. Okay. So when people
yeah,
are
it's a
more
good
interested
sign.
in academics. Yeah. Yeah.
Fantastic. Mm. Yeah. So I'm going to ask you again, Konnichiwa,
Well, I
how are
didn't
you?
understand that.
How are you?
Okay.
Yeah. Now that we have taken a plunge into Japan, let's move to Taiwan. Thank you guys for sharing. Yes. Okay, so I see that people are now thinking in a different level, not like everyone say, I want to go to a country and settle there. They're all seeing what is all happening around us. So it's better to understand the geopolitical climate always. And believe me, being the first citizen in a country and being a second citizen in a country obviously will have a different feel altogether, right? As much as we learn a lot, as much as we also contribute to that country, end of the day, it's your own country which always welcomes you, right? Okay. So now that we are moving to Taiwan, so how do I say how are you in Taiwan? Ni hao. So you don't need to practice extra. Remember the how and ni hao is what they call it. How are you? Okay. Yeah, as it rightly says, it's the Asia's hidden gem and the world leader in semiconductors. I think nothing moves around the world now without any of the Chinese products, right? So they actually give the heart and soul to many of our electronic devices. And the education in Taiwan is much more affordable than Japan. And also it has good ROI because you know how people are paid in the IT industry as such. So definitely they need more people to work. And I say more people, always keep in your mind the size of the country and how the opportunities are going to be, right? So they need people definitely, but there will always be limitations in that. So keep that in mind when you're applying to such countries. So this is all Taiwan is about. So I'm sure you all know what is ROC. It's actually Republic of China. Though originally Taiwan claimed that that is China, we know there is a lot of history behind it. So I'm not going to talk about the history now. So it's always now officially known as ROC Taiwan. And the capital city, we know it's Taipei. And one of the world's largest information and communication industry is there in Taiwan. And it houses around 140 universities and colleges and everything. And most of the programs at the master's level are taught in English. However, at the undergrad level, knowing Chinese definitely helps students to get the best out of it. Otherwise, you'll be having very limited choice. And they always insist on even the students, like I would say, how to put it, even if the student coming for a master's program, which is taught in English, some of the universities I'm seeing are saying that at least you need level 2 proficiency in Chinese. So please always check for all this additional information, because after applying, if you are not, having the right qualification, just for not having that, your application will be rejected. So these are all few areas, or I would say the provinces in Taiwan, and which holds those prominent universities. So Taipei is the capital, and of course that's also one of the commercial hubs which houses these universities. And more than Japanese, Chinese is a little difficult to pronounce. And I think we really need to, learn them the right way. So Taipei is easy to pronounce. Taichung is also easy to pronounce. Whereas this K is not sounded as K here. It sounds like G here. So it's Kaohsiung is it's called, it's a province where it houses these universities. And I think most of you would have heard about this National Taiwan University and this National Kaohsiung University of Science and Technology, because that's one. Both of them are very old universities, and their technology programs are supposed to be one of the top notch. So let's look at the process. Nothing different, almost the same. Only thing is the intake changes. So here the first or the primary intake is in February, which is like a spring intake. And then the fall intake, which is like September, is the second intake. Typically, like Japan, they also need all the documents that we have been talking about so far. And connecting with the faculty advisor is recommended only for PhD, not for the master's level. But if you connect, it's well and good, right? Otherwise, the process is entirely the same. And here you require only an admission letter from the university and apply for a student visa. So typically here, how the visa process works is, yes, of course, you need to apply through the local Chinese embassy or the consulate. But the university where you've got admission, the international office will help you do all the paperwork, and then they will help you to get submitted to the embassy or consulate. There is no interview, but make sure all your documents are intact, because of the language process and everything. They ensure that your English papers are easy to the documents that you're submitting in English are easy to understand, and probably there is certain pattern, format, everything that they will give you. You have to just adhere to that and prepare the documents. Beyond that, yes, getting admission to the university is the primary thing, which is again super competitive because of the number of positions that they are able to accommodate in their university. Beyond that, I think whatever I said for Japan holds good here as well. Most of these, whether it is Japan or Taiwan, both of them require the English proficiency course for all their English taught, even if you have studied in an English medium. And I think predominantly they accept IELTS. Of course, in some cases, I've also seen that they are accepting TOEFL. But this check always you do when you're shortlisting universities. Don't write both the exams and waste your time on that. Now coming to the tuition fee, you will have a surprise. This is much cheaper than studying in India, right? So the tuition fee, the max it can go is to 6 lakh. Living expenses, the max it can go is 2 lakh, and other fees, insurance, everything put together approximately, it can range from, let's say, 3 lakh to 10 lakh per year. So you can have a comfortable living, pay for your education, and also you would be able to do the on-campus work or apply for the scholarships, which can further bring down your educational cost. But admissions can be competitive for you, and knowing Chinese language is definitely an added advantage here. as much as many young Taiwanese, they all speak English. I think for survival purpose, it's better to learn at least some amount of Chinese so that it helps you. Sorry, okay. So, like Japan, here also there are university-specific scholarship. But let's look at the two Taiwanese government-based government scholarships. One is by the Taiwan government, which is called MOFA scholarship. So you can apply it through the local Chinese embassy, and you don't need to really have an admission to a Taiwanese university, but at least you must have a proof that you have applied to a university. If you get selected, you'll get a maximum of 33,000. It's called New Taiwan dollars. So just do a conversion. So it's roughly, this would come to something like 1 lakh, I think, yeah. So, and then one economy air ticket that they will give you, only one way. So return you have to put on your. And this scholarship opens up around either, I think it will be for the first intake as well as for the second intake. I think in both times they will announce it, but we have to keep following this one. The second thing is the Taiwan Educational Department Scholarship. This is exclusively by the Education Department and not by the common government. This is also applied through the local ROC. And but here the only thing is you need to have an admission to a Taiwanese university to get that scholarship. And maximum is only 20,000 NTD. And all this I'm specifying could vary for a master's program and an undergraduate program. So you can always check the latest information from the respective official agency website to know how to apply for it. So all of them require primarily a statement of purpose, your transcript is required, and your English proficiency is also required at the time of applying. So you need to have almost the entire application package to apply, not only to the university, even to apply to these scholarships. So be mindful of the deadlines and other things that is set, and accordingly you should propose them. Coming to the post-study work options, here, unlike Japan, they allow you to work only 20 hours per week. And after graduation, you're eligible to work freely. I mean, I think no status change and those sort of things. But if you really want to get a residency in Taiwan, then there are certain clauses set where, depending on the qualification that you have, you need to stay in Taiwan for 2 years to get a residency, or you may need to stay 3 years to get a residency. This is something that we need to check at the time after you graduate, and accordingly you can plan. Getting permanent residency is after the work residency, which I already explained. So whatever after graduation you work, for how many years you work, you would be able to reach the permanent residency. And of course, these are the industries in which you can work, which is quite familiar for all of us, and I think they're all popular things. So you can check it yourself. So this is a comparative note for you to understand whatever we spoke so far: tuition, scholarship, job market, and language. And we have already said what works, what doesn't work, etc. So you can choose Japan if these reasons resonate with your choice. Like, okay, you're aiming for engineering, robotics, or business, or you can invest a little more money, then definitely think Japan. But on the other hand, you want a foreign experience but doesn't want to spend much with a high quality education, then Taiwan would be the best choice for you. Because it's a hardcore technology only. I mean, you're not going to do any business or anything in Taiwan. So it is a natural transition for students who are in the STEM field, and that too more focused towards electronics, electrical, and computer engineering. So it's time to go for poll 3. If you had to choose where would you prefer to study? We have given you a complete comparison between Japan and Taiwan. Let's see, where do you want to go? Okay.
Okay, so I'm assuming there are a lot of electrical engineering students out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What sounds interesting? Okay. We see few in that under that also.
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting. Good. See, the poll is free. Everybody should participate. I think so. This one point that I want to talk about, like participation. Most of the Indian students, they don't take the survey, they don't participate in polls and other things. But believe me, this is one of the, I would say, a habit, or I would say even your quality that you should develop if you're thinking of studying abroad. Because the classes abroad are always participatory, and they're not always judging you based on your test taking skills. They judge you based on how participatory are you, how are you contributing, are you really engaging yourself with the peers in the class, how diverse are you. So most of the time, this is the problem with Indian students, because yeah, I understand. We all go to institutions where the classrooms have 30 to 1 professor ratio. But whether it is that or not, if you're thinking of studying abroad, be very open, be participatory, come forward to share your thoughts. So that's what will help you, get tuned to their culture quickly. Okay, so we finished poll 3 now, and good to know that some of you are interested in both the countries. And I think we have already summarized, because since I've already said all these points, I think the student life and culture, you can just learn from the screen. I keep saying about active participation, not only in the clubs and stuff, everywhere, and taking part-time jobs. And Japan, how it works. It's like clock ticking. So is Taiwan. Time is an essence there. Sometimes I feel very bad when people talk about the Indian Standard Time. So our students are also very focused. I know some of them don't even come to the class a minute late. People are always ahead of time. So I think the students like you who go abroad should always make for it, saying that Indian students are also very punctual in the way that they come for classes and stuff, or even to submit assignments. So one thing that I want to mention here as a takeaway. So the intake periods between the two countries, if you look at, there are different things. One, Taiwan's first intake is in February, whereas Japan it's April. But both of them have their second intake September. So students from India, the second intake would be an ideal place for you. But also check whether the scholarships are given both for both intakes or only for the first intake. If so, then you need to alter your time plan. So that's what will answer your when to apply question. Documents checklist, yes, both are almost the same. So you need to prep the same way as you prep for Japan. But only thing is for Taiwan, you please make sure you learn a little bit of Chinese. And for Japan, obviously Japanese, but both requires English proficiency exam, etc. So planning wise, they are going to be comparatively easy because the same set of documents, writing, etc. But the language requirement is what makes it a little complicated. You can check, suppose you are going to apply two universities in Japan and 2 universities in Taiwan. Make sure the Taiwan University or the Japanese University is not insisting too much on both languages. So You can go without learning a language, and once you decide your country, you learn that particular language. Okay, so I think that way will help you to plan it better, ride on both horses. Still, you can choose which one you want to win. Again, a standard set of things that you would require, whether it is Japan or Taiwan. I think by now most of you are aware what you really need to apply to one university. And I think with that, I will finish, and I would want Raghuvi to discuss, how students' profile matters to get admission to good universities, because this will help you to plan for Japan and Taiwan.
Thank you,
Over to you,
ma'am.
Raghuvi.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Okay, so it was indeed complete. Okay, so I believe all the attendees, okay, would have got a very good idea about how to go about their admission process in Japan and Taiwan, and they would have got that clarity, like which destination will suit them best. Okay,
Work for them.
yeah. So, and to be very honest, okay, I was worried. Okay, so whether we will be able to cover 2 destinations in 1 hour. Okay, so but yeah, so there was so much of information, but it was very smoothly, I think, should have transitioned into our attendees' mind, I guess. Okay, so guys, okay, so please use the chat box. Okay, so while I'm going to take you through like on some of the case studies, okay, so use the chat box to post your questions regarding Japan or Taiwan. Okay, so I'm not going to take too much of time. So here I've bought some 3 very quick case studies. Okay, so one, okay, so as you can see, okay, so Sham Sundar. So it is for a MS admission process. But unlike other MS, okay, so it's not straightforward. Okay, so the student is from a triple E background, but wanted to do a master's in statistics. Okay, so and what really worked with Sham, it is not about just having a great profile. Okay, so you see, it is all about strategy. I'm pretty sure you guys should be following IPL, okay, and you should be discussing about the strategy in the game. Okay, so similarly in life, okay, strategy, okay, is going to be very important. Okay, so as you can see here, okay, so Sham's profile. So he's from IIT Kanpur with an extraordinary GPA, okay, with close to 9 GPA and a GRE score of 313 and a TOEFL score of 109. Okay, and he got admitted into a MS in statistics program at ETH Zurich, which is one of the top universities, not just in Switzerland. Okay, so but in the globe. And what really worked well for Sham, okay, so is the narrative that we were able to bring out and help them to stand out. Okay, so among the other applicants. Okay, so what is very important, it is not just about having a great profile. Okay, so it is about keeping yourself, okay, so apart from the application pool. Okay, so that means you need to set a very strong narrative. You'll have to talk about your passion towards statistics, and you'll have to work in depth about your academic accomplishments. Okay, so relating to statistics, and position yourself as a most passionate person towards statistics. Okay, so that is what really worked in Sham's case. Okay, so we have an editing team, okay, which is headed by Mrs. Uttara. So she has completed her master's from London. Okay, so she heads the editing team, and we were able to come out with a very strong, compelling statement of purpose for Sham, as well as we were able to draft and help him draft a very strong recommendation letter narrating his accomplishments in statistics. Okay, so which ended up in a very good admit. And second case study that we have is Niti Srivatsava. So you see, so this is not a MS admit. So this is admit into a business program. So there is a difference between admission to a technical program and admission into a management or a business oriented program. So you see, when you're applying for a technical program, the department or the admission committee, so they're going to more look into what your accomplishments in terms of the technical side of it. Okay, so what is your qualification? are you meeting the prerequisites required for the program, okay? And do you have relevant technical work experience, so, and research experience? These things are going to help you in securing a good admit for a technical program. But management is beyond just your academic accomplishments, so it is more about your leadership skills, your creativity. So Neeti Srivatsava, okay, so as you can see her profile, okay, so her CGPA is not extraordinary, okay, but it's around 75%, which is a pass score. But what really compensated for Neeti's a little tricky CGPA is a GRE score, okay, which is close to 320, which is very competitive in the global stage, okay, and obviously the IELTS score. And as you see, as you guys can see her profile, okay, so she's a working professional. And what really worked with Galvanize is, okay, so as I mentioned to you earlier, okay, so we are completely online, okay, and we provide students a dedicated student portal through which the test preparation as well as the admission process is going to be driven, okay. And the biggest advantage is student will be able to participate in the entire process, okay, as and when they find their time. You understood? Okay, so that personalization and that ability to use whatever free time that they have, okay, so whether it is in the day or it is in the night, okay, so you can make the best use of it. And that is what really worked well with Neeti. And as you can see, okay, so she secured admit in one of the top business schools in France, which is Lyon Business School, for a international MBA program. And the last case study that I brought to you is a PhD admit. So why PhD admit will be very relevant to this particular session is Japan is going to be a very research-oriented program. So it is not just about shortlisting the right university for you. It is more about identifying the right faculties for you. Okay, so what is your research interest? Okay, so we need to understand that, and we need to map it with the faculty, okay, so in a university in Japan or any other country of your choice. So what worked well for Pragnya is, okay, so we were able to map the right faculty for her, okay, and able to get a good PhD admit. So so I'm just trying to keep things very brief as we are running short of time. Okay, so now we are towards end of the session, and I'm again asking participants to keep posting their questions, okay, on the chat box, so it will be easier for us to answer your questions towards end of this session. So the last poll, okay, so we wanted to understand, so which one you would like to choose, whether it's Tokyo or whether it's going to be Taiwan. So and also, okay, so towards end of the session, if you have any questions, just raise your hand, okay, so we will be happy to unmute you, so you can introduce yourself to the crowd and you can ask your question to us. Great. Okay, so I feel this poll to be a little contradictory. Previously, I thought there are a lot of electrical engineering students, okay, so wanted to go to Taiwan. Okay, so but yeah. Cool. So we are ending the poll right now. Okay, and I see. Okay, so there are a lot of students. Okay, so more interested towards Tokyo when compared to Taiwan. Okay, and there are quite a few students who need guidance. Okay, and we'll be more than happy to guide you through. Okay, so we are going to share a profile evaluation form link. Okay, on the chat. Okay, so it is free for students to participate in the profile evaluation. Okay, so where you will get a chance to speak to a counselor like me. Okay, you can share your profile. Okay, so you can share your preferences, and we will be able to guide you like which study destination will work best for you. Okay, so irrespective of what destination you're going to choose, okay, so one test, okay, is going to be mandatory for you guys to give. Okay, so that's going to be your English language test. Okay, so Galvanize we will be happy to help you so on your test preparation front as well. as well as your admission counseling. Okay, so when it comes to test preparation, and the entire program is going to be pretty comprehensive, where we understand what your pain points are. Accordingly, we will be customizing a study plan for you, and the success of the preparation program mostly lies on how religious you are, okay, in following the study plan. The more religious you are, okay, in following the study plan that we are going to customize for you, okay, the more successful you're going to be, okay, whether it's going to be your English language test or whether it's going to be your GRE. Okay, so English language test, as I told you, okay, so it's going to be mandatory for any destination, okay, and it's a very basic minimum requirement. Okay, so TOEFL is one of the popularly accepted tests across various destinations. So is IELTS. Okay, so PTE, I feel, okay, so students who are looking at Australia more look into PTE, but TOEFL and IELTS are going to be more popular. And when you come, so we have put across some data points for you to compare between TOEFL and IELTS. In recent times, ETS has taken the initiative to redesign the entire TOEFL test and make it more convenient for test takers. Okay, so you also have the home-based TOEFL. Okay, so we have put across some data points. Okay, so which will help you in comparing both these two tests and decide like which one will work best for you. As ma'am earlier mentioned, okay, so there might be some universities which may not accept IELTS or which may not accept a TOEFL. So it is best, okay, so to do your research, okay, or connect with a professional like us, okay, to understand which will be a best test for you to give. Okay, and we also have put across some other benefits that you have when you're going to take the TOEFL. So why we are able to provide you with these benefits for TOEFL test takers is because we work very closely with ETS. Okay, so we will be able to help you with TOEFL discount coupons, okay, at the time of registration. Okay, and depending upon that point in time, okay, so we can also help you in free score reporting to universities. Okay, and so this is just a quick snapshot, as I told you. So at the beginning of the session, okay, so we have students across different countries. Okay, so we are not just restricted to India. So our base is has expanded, okay, beyond India. Okay, so we have students in US, okay, a lot of Asian countries like Bangladesh, okay, and African countries as well. Okay, so guys, now we are towards end of the session. Okay, so please feel free to raise your hand, ask your questions, and we'll be more than happy to answer you. Okay, you can also use the QR code, okay, to scan the QR code. Okay, so and you can submit your profile evaluation form and schedule a call with a counselor like me.
Hi, Shanthi Mohan. Do you have any questions received on your chat?
Yeah. There is a question from Sriram Sainath. So he would like to understand, what do I mean by connecting with the faculty advisor, and how should I do this for a master's program? Raghuveer, you can also answer the question.
Sure, ma'am. Okay, so you see, what's the name of the student?
Sriram Sainath.
Sriram Sainath.
So, yeah, Sriram, okay, so typically when it comes to a master's program where there is a requirement that you need to have a faculty approval, okay, so it is important that you connect with the faculty, you are able to establish what your research interests are, and it is not just about establishing your research interest. You need to convey like what your research accomplishments are, okay, and how you will be able to contribute in their particular research. Okay, and then probably you're going to have a call with the faculty. Okay, so a quick interview. Okay, and based on which, okay, you're going to be selected for the program. Okay, and this is a very important requirement for Japan. Okay, so because a lot of programs in Japan, what we have seen is, okay, are going to be pretty research extensive, and connecting with the faculty and having approval from them is going to be very, very important. And let me tell you, okay, once you have an approval from a faculty, okay, everything else falls into place. Okay, so automatically. Okay, so then the remaining set of steps in the admission process I would say it is more like a formality. Okay, submitting your documents, going through the screening process. Okay, so the most important thing is going to get the faculty approval. So it is not just for Japan. Okay, so there are also other destinations, for example, Canada. Okay, so you have research in intensive master's program, and it is a part of the admission requirement that you get a faculty approval before submitting an application. Okay, so hope that clears your question. Okay, so if there is anything more, okay, so schedule a profile evaluation call, and we'll be more than happy to discuss all your questions. Ma'am, do you have anything to add to it?
Yeah, I think almost you did it. One point I would definitely say is reading the profile of the faculty who are there in the department to which you are applying. You should look at multiple people and then identify one or two from them. So that helps you. Sometimes students, blindly they go through somebody who is that Corpus Index, their research is being referred by many without realizing whether they match whether their interests match the professors. Okay. Sometimes when you are communicating with the professors, my recommendation is that suppose you had a chance to go through one of their publications, please do comment about it. So having a more intellectual and research aligned conversation through an email always catch their attention. Otherwise, many a times the professors are so busy they won't even respond to some of the mails that you are sending. Yeah, it's like a cold call, but make the cold call more interesting by specifying to the point how what can you contribute to their research. So that's how the conversations actually build.
And guys, okay, we shouldn't get disheartened. Okay, so if the professor has not responded to your
Exactly.
email, okay, so okay, so because they receive so many emails, okay, and ma'am, we have a question from Naveen. Okay, so about the profile. So what can be a minimal academic requirement? Okay, so so Nirmal, so this both these destinations are very academic centric. Okay, so but having said that, irrespective of the destination, okay, so the better your academic profile, the better it is. Okay, so in general, okay, so in Indian context, okay, so anything more than 8 CGPA in a scale of 10, okay, so is a pretty competitive CGPA. Okay, so anything between 7 and 7 point, you see, so a lot of other factors also play a role. For example, the kind of institute or university you have graduated from. Okay, so if it's a NIT or a IIT, okay, so it depends on the university. Okay, also the CGPA, the country equivalent GPA or CGPA will be determined. But in Indian context, anything like 8 is going to be competitive. But having said that, okay, so not everyone holds a 8 CGPA. Okay, so if you need an example, okay, so that example is sitting right before you. Okay, so I don't have a CGPA. Okay. So, but it doesn't matter. Okay, but even for my CGPA, okay, so it is important. Okay, so we find the best fit for our profile. You understood? Without compromising on anything. You understand? Okay, so what happened in the past has happened. There's no corrections we can make. Okay, so now you have a profile. So understand. Okay, so and approach your. We need to approach our admission process more rationally and more realistically. Okay, so that's my take. So, ma'am, you have anything to add?
You had given a fitting answer.
But my CGPA is not fitting.
Okay, I don't think
any more
that's...
questions? So guys, okay, so just feel free, okay, so we don't mind, okay, so stretching a little more, okay, so because you guys had the patience of being through the entire session, okay, so we need to give it back to you, right? Okay, so we are happy to stay a little longer, okay. So there's one new message. Thank you for the answer. Good. Thanks, Naveen. So if there's anyone who would like to voice out on YouTube, okay, so feel free to raise your hand. Okay, so we can unmute you. Okay, so you can speak live. Great. So guys, okay, so for one last time, okay, so we are posting the profile evaluation link on the chat box. Okay, so scan your QR codes here. Okay, so of course we will be sending you email. Okay, so after the session, so students who wouldn't get a chance to be a part of the session. Okay, so we are going to send a recorded session will be going to be made available on YouTube, and we are also going to email all the registrants. Okay, so ma'am, thank you so much. Okay, so I think we can wrap up. Okay, so thank you so much for being a part. Okay, so wish you a happy International Labour's Day, and this to everyone who have been a part of this session, and we wish every one of you very good luck and very happy long weekend. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Sayonara. This, I'm sure all of you know. It's bye and chai kian for bye in Taiwan. Okay?
Yeah, chakya. Okay, bye.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah, bye, everyone.
Bye. Good luck.